We'll call the meeting to order for legislative session 2022-21, October 4th, 2022. We are currently convened as the Urban Services Commission. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes from August 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? We have a second from Vice President Davis. Any corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The minutes are approved. At this time, we open the floor for a public hearing on resolution number 01-2022 to establish an urban service district for street lighting in the Wellington Estates subdivision. If you have any comments you'd like to make, come to the podium. Please state your name, your county of residence, and your concerns. This is a public hearing for the resolution 01-2022. Seeing none, that concludes the public hearing for Resolution 01-2022. Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 01-2022.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
From the commission.
Three.
Any discussion? All those in favor of Resolution 01-2022 say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution passes. This time, entertain a motion to adjourn as Urban Services Commission.
Mr.
moved.
President,
Yes.
I think Mr. Whitelock had a couple of things he
Sorry.
wanted to point out.
All right, I was going too fast.
Just to,
Good evening.
So after we had our first public hearing, there were about 8 questions that came from that. And I wanted to give some clarification to that because some of those had cost associated due to DP&L's price increase that came in effect, I believe is October 1st. So in discussions with DP&L or Delmarva Power, there is a price increase associated with this. So we were at $7.01 per household or property in the development, and that would have gone up by approximately about $1 is what it would have come up to. But taking a look at things, if you look at the map up on Wellington Circle, right at the opening to the cul-de-sac there, you've got lights number 10 and 11 that are right across
from each other.
right straight across the road from each other. And it was really overkill because they're both going to be setting out over the street nearly head to head.
Right.
Hang on one second, Mr. Whitelock. If you all want to come forward and look at it, feel free. You can move the chairs, you can do anything you want. There's also a monitor in the back as well.
Is there any way to split the difference?
Well, so by eliminating number 10 altogether and just leaving the one light there, what we've come to is actually a cost reduction of $6.72 per property owner
Instead of the 7?
instead of the 7. Well, it would actually be closer to 8 by the time that the price increase
With the
took effect.
26%
By
increase.
reducing that one light, which kind of made no sense to us at all, we dropped it down to $6.72.
Okay.
When you said that made no sense at all, who proposed it?
Well, the way so how that was set up was there's transformers in those locations. So that's basically DP&L saying, look, this is where we can install a light with no cost. Because anytime you start to move away from a transformer, you've got to put a conduit in, you've got to run wires out, and that cost associated with that goes up. So that is the most cost-effective way of doing business. So having those two transformers right across the street from each other, they had 10 and 11.
But I think he was asking who put that extra light in there.
Between the number 6 light and the number 4 light, is there no houses there? Is that why there's no?
It's open field,
Oh, okay. All right.
Open field, and also there's a power line, I
Okay.
believe, that goes across there too.
DP&L.
That in my discussions with Delmarva Power are kind of shying away from putting streetlights underneath that.
So, Mr. Wilbur, based on the resolution, I'm assuming this is not considered an amendment or an addendum to the resolution? No? Yes? No. Okay, so we don't have to redo the motion and amend this last light out, correct?
Yeah.
This will be the exhibit.
There was also a question about light number 1 down on Suffolk Court, that some of that was wooded area in there and the lights may not shine quite as bright. They've had some problems back in there. And my suggestion with that would be is what we're proposing is 100-watt LED lights for all these poles. If the dimness becomes an issue in there, we could step that up to 150 watt to go ahead and add some extra light in that area.
The number of streetlights, et cetera, has no relevance to the resolution itself.
Right.
All right, just want to make sure.
You're approving it as
Okay.
an urban service district.
Okay. So you're removing light number 10?
Light number 10, yes.
Okay, maybe light number 10, okay. I did not think that the increase had gone into effect yet. I thought they were still taking
Hasn't
comments.
gone into effect yet. It's
They're still
they
taking
asked for
comments
it.
until October
Right.
7th, I believe.
so. but
Just
what
in
they-
case.
What he said it would go up. It would change that number. That was the most important part to me, is it is going to change that $7.01 number. And I still think that this is the best way to go by reducing that, by that one light, is actually reducing the cost after the fact, even with that increase in effect. If that increase were to go into effect, we'll still have a reduction in cost.
I'm going to make sure that's what the neighborhood wants.
Sit right here.
They're sitting right there.
Okay, done.
We're
We need to
good.
make it complicated.
So, and that's how we feel that, Public Works feels that that's the best way to go about that. Now, another question was asked that if this was passed tonight, what would be the time frame that we would be looking at to install the lights? That time frame, if parts needed to be ordered, Delmarva Power has a 6-month lead time on parts right now. 6 months is probably the furthest away. You could see something a lot sooner if everything is in stock.
Okay,
Okay?
sounds good.
It's April.
Any other questions from council for Mr. Whitelock?
No,
Mr. Whitelock, you okay?
I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Wilbur? Entertain a motion to adjourn as Urban Services Commissioner reconvenes the Wycomico County Council legislative session.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? We'll now reconvene as Wycomico County Council. Mrs. Hurley, good evening.
Okay.
Thank you all.
good evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is a public hearing on resolution number 122-2022. This is authorizing an application to the Maryland Department of Commerce to renew and expand the boundaries of the existing Salisbury-Wicomico Enterprise Zone. A public hearing notice was published in the local newspaper and posted online for each of the public hearings this evening, and they were just basically inviting everyone to come and provide comments. Council did have a work session on this request on September the 20th. And we have Laura Soper here, Enterprise Zone Coordinator with the City of Salisbury, if there are any questions.
This time we open the floor for public hearing on resolution number 122-2022. If you have any comments you'd like to make, come to the podium, please. State your name, your county of residence, and your concerns. Okay. That concludes the public hearing on resolution number 122-2022. Entertain a motion from council to approve resolution 122-2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
I got something.
Okay, Ms.
I asked
Soper?
a question last time about eligibility.
Let us know who you are
What was that?
for the public. Thank you. You can
Yeah,
tell us
oh,
who you are.
there we
Thank
go.
you.
Yes, so I did look into that, and unfortunately, and fortunately, I did find out that some of the census tracts that are in our current enterprise zone are no longer eligible. So thank you for the heads up, because if I hadn't looked into it, then I would have just assumed that it was grandfathered in. But in speaking to the Department of Commerce, they said that even if a tract is ineligible, we can still apply, and Commerce will review it. They'll send us a letter with comments back if there are areas that they would prefer be removed. So there are some areas that are ineligible, but we are still going forward with the original application.
Stay within the law. That's what we're here for, right?
Yes, yeah, and like I said, they'll send us a comment letter back, and we'll go from there.
Questions?
Mr. Burr, thank you so much for this detailed explanation on the enterprise zone and for getting back to us with our questions.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. It was very helpful.
Yeah. And again, if I hadn't gotten that heads up, I would have gone forward with the application, not knowing and assuming incorrectly. So thank you again for your due diligence and asking those questions.
Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of Resolution 122-2022, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried, resolution passes. Thank you, Ms. Soper.
Public hearing on resolution number 123-2022, authorizing the Acton County Executive to accept grant funds pending approval of the Board of Public Works in the amount of $405,000 from the Maryland Department of Natural Resources through Program Open Space to be applied to the Harmon Field Revitalization Project and to amend the fiscal year 2023 capital budget and fiscal years 2023-2027 capital improvement plan to authorize and include the funding changes. And Mr. Steve Miller here, Director of Recreation, Parks, and Tourism, is available for any questions.
This time we open the floor for public hearing on resolution number 123-2022. If you have any comments you'd like to make, please come to the podium, state your name, your county of residence, and your concerns. That concludes the public hearing on resolution number 123-2022. Entertain a motion from council to approve resolution number 123-2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion, questions?
I just want to say that I'm not really in favor of this, but the council voted for this project, so I'll vote for it again.
Thank you, Councilman Dodd. Any other comments? All those in favor of Resolution 123-2022, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution passes.
Next is a public hearing on resolution number 124-2022, authorizing the Acton County Executive to accept grant funds in the amount of $400,000 from the Maryland Department of Natural Resources through the Local Parks and Playground Infrastructure Program to be applied to the Harmon Field project and to amend the fiscal year 2023 capital budget and fiscal years 2023 through 2027 capital improvement plan to authorize and include the funding changes.
This time we open the floor for public hearing on resolution number 124-2022. If you have any comments you'd like to make, come to the podium, state your name, your county of residence, and your concerns. That concludes the public hearing on resolution 124-2022. Entertain a motion from council to approve resolution number 124-2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution passes.
Okay, the next item for business is a public hearing on resolution number 125-2022. This is authorizing the Acton County Executive to accept a special grant award in the amount of $27,777 from the Maryland Aviation Administration to be utilized for a 5% portion of the local share of the runway extension wetland mitigation Phase 1 project, and to amend the fiscal year 2023 capital budget and fiscal years 2023 through 2027 capital improvement program to authorize the funding changes.
Time we open the floor for public hearing on resolution number 125-2022. If you have any comments you'd like to make, come to the podium, please. State your name, your county of residence, and your concerns. Seeing none, that concludes the public hearing on resolution number 125-2022. Entertain a motion from council to approve resolution 125-2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution passes.
Next for your consideration is resolution number 126-2022. This is authorizing the Acton County Executive to accept a grant award from the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention, entitled Wicomico Sheriff PACT program in the amount of $11,750. The purpose of the grant funding is to maintain compliance with the Police Accountability Act and conducting regular mental health screenings and aid in the identification of any employees that may need assistance.
Entertain a motion from council to approve resolution 126-2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. Captain, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
If you could state for the public your title.
Yeah, Captain Robinson with the Wicomico Sheriff's Office.
Great, thank you. You guys are always getting money
Yes,
somehow or other, so this is part of it.
this is going to help defray one of those new mandates that's been put on us.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, Kevin? All those in favor of resolution 126-2022, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's
Did we
carried.
put on you?
Excuse me.
Did I misunderstand what the new mandates?
The new mandates have been put on by the Police Accountability
Oh, okay.
Act.
I'm sorry. That's what I was grinning about. I thought you were
Getting us.
just making a joke, sorry. Yeah.
It seemed like that Major Richardson get the day work and they send you at night.
That's
I was thinking about that. Well, congratulations on your promotion. It's been a while, but
Thank you, Councilman.
Very good. All those in favor of Resolution 126, 2022, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried, resolution passes. Thank you, Captain.
Thank you.
Next is a submission of 3 appointments to the Agricultural Preservation Advisory Board. In accordance with Charter Section 413, the Acton County Executive has submitted 3 names for appointment to the Agricultural Preservation Advisory Board. This board promotes preservation of agriculture within the county. This includes advising the county body with respect to the purchase of ag preservation easements and reviewing the status of land under easement. Resolution number 127-2022 is confirming the appointment of Charles M. Wright V to serve as a member of the Agricultural Preservation Advisory Board.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 127, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried, resolution passes.
Next is Resolution number 128-2022, confirming the appointment of Wilson Lee Evans to serve as a member of the Agricultural Preservation Advisory Board.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 128, 2022.
so moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried, resolution 128, 2022 passes.
Next is Resolution number 129-2022, confirming the appointment of Daniel T. Rain to serve as a member of the Agricultural Preservation Advisory Board.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 129, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried, resolution passes.
The next 6 items for your consideration pertain to amendments to the fiscal year 2023 budget. The first one is Resolution number 130-2022. This is amending the fiscal year 2023 budget position control document titled Exhibit F to increase the salary for position number 100884, Department Assistant, within the State's Attorney's Office. And we have Pam Olin here, Director of Finance, if there are any questions.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 130-2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Any questions? All those in favor of Resolution 130, 2022, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried, resolution passes.
Next is Resolution number 131-2022. This is amending the fiscal year 2023 budget position control document, Exhibit F, and fiscal year 2023 budget request titled From Department Position Changes, attached as Exhibit E. This is to adjust 3 position titles for the Department of Planning, Zoning, and Community Development.
Entertain a motion to approve Resolution 131, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
So are these new titles or new positions?
Good evening.
Good evening, Pam Olin, Finance Director. So the reason why we're amending 2 things is that we are taking, as you know, in the budget, there was the position control document that was all the positions that we had as of June 30th, 2022. One of those position titles needed to be changed. In addition, council approved some additional changes or additions of positions in Exhibit E. And that's why Exhibit E is attached, because some of the titles, so yes and no to the answer to your question is, some of the positions are just retitles. Some are new positions that we're retitling, but that were approved in the budget document.
Are they new hires or just a transfer?
I think, let me get the right one in front of me to refresh my memory. I think the 2 of them are, sorry, I have a lot of them here.
I used to know who was the building inspectors and the fire inspectors.
So the building inspector and the fire inspector are both positions that were here previously, but they were promotions of the people that had been in the position.
Okay.
I can't honestly answer. I don't know the name of the person who is the other title. I don't know the answer to that question.
Those in favor of Resolution 131, 2022, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, resolution passes.
Okay, the next item is Resolution Number 132-2022, amending the fiscal year 2023 operating budget and the budget position control document, Exhibit F, to properly represent certain salaries for length of service.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 132, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, resolution passes.
Okay, next for your consideration is Resolution Number 133-2022, amending the fiscal year 2023 operating budget and the position control document, Exhibit F, to increase salaries for 2 grant-funded positions within the Health Department.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 133-2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, resolution passes.
Next is Resolution Number 134-2022. This is to amend the fiscal year 2023 Circuit Court budget to increase the revenue and payment of jury fees in the amount of $75,000.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 134, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, resolution passes.
Next is Resolution Number 135-2022. This is to amend the fiscal year 2023 Circuit Court budget from contingency to increase the funding for parking for jurors and employees in the amount of $25,000.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 135, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, resolution passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Olin.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Hurley. Good evening, Mr. Hitchens.
Good evening. I call your attention to Resolution 136, 2022, accepting the grant expenditures audit report.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 136-2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
I can give you a quick overview.
Sure, thank you.
I feel like I should have some amendments for this audit report.
You feel that way? Josh, you got anything?
This audit focused on evaluating the overall management of grants as an organization. The county utilizes a decentralized approach where departments have a representative. Frequently, it's the department accountant that manages the reports and reimbursement requests. Some centralized functions do exist, such as finance tracks grants and munis, the law department reviews grants, and the executive and council roles approve the grants for acceptance. In general, and in most cases for the county, grants are awarded on a reimbursement basis. That is, the county spends money toward the grant program, then asks the grantor for reimbursement based on some agreed upon schedule. The local management board works on an advanced schedule. In that arrangement, the state provides the funds up front, and at some point after the project period, the state validates the LMB's reports and requests any unexpended funds be returned. The LMB also manages some pass-through grants to nonprofits. County staff perform quarterly site visits as performance checks to those entities as part of the county's obligation in hosting those grants. I reviewed documentation and performance review forms related to the homelessness grant during this audit. Based on my review and analysis, I have rated the program at an adequate level, citing some areas for improvement as outlined in the findings section. The first area of improvement is reimbursement request frequency. Some grants are not submitting reimbursements as often as they are able to. While I did not see any evidence that the county lost funds due to that practice, more frequent reimbursement would mitigate risk due to factors such as employee turnover, grant expiration, or callback. The second is a recommendation for the county to explore the viability of adding a grants administrator. And an administrator could bring a centralized approach to the county, which would maximize compliance, share best practices, and they could be a subject matter expert for departments to turn to. The third suggestion is to better utilize a module we already subscribe to in Munis called Project Master. This provides a uniform view of a grant to anyone who accesses it. At a glance, you could see a lot of information such as the original budget, budget remaining, start and end dates, and description, to name a few. It also allows storage of contracts, contact information, and other important information. Even if a person had access to every grant file on the county server, report formatting, contracts, and documents vary in their formatting and would not offer a quick overview like Project Master does. And finally, my last suggestion for management is to adopt a grants manual. This would be another resource for the county to utilize to continue towards a uniform environment and centralization of its grant management. As always, I would like to thank county management and staff. I interviewed and worked with 7 different departments during this audit for their participation. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's not so much a question, but your second recommendation regarding, the grants administration, recommending, grants administrator position. I mean, I can't echo that enough. I mean, I just think that is so crucial for the county. A county with a budget this size, that's a full-time job, somebody seeking available grants out there. And this, I call it the Mr. Potato Head approach, it's kind of, separate departments kind of doing their own thing. And some of them do, as you point out, some, it's not even, some do a great job of that and others don't, but it's just simply because they're not experienced at that. So they don't have that knowledge. So these recommendations are great. I guess my question becomes, how do we make sure this just doesn't, these recommendations just don't disappear, that we make sure, because we're in this process of one administration ending and another one starting.
Well, I will say this, working with Pam and Charles, and they're typically my centralized people I go to, especially for organizational-wide audits like this one. They did provide management comment. It's in the report. I think it's page 6. And typically, these reports are coming out slower, but I'm really working with management very closely. And as we saw with purchase cards and fuel, for instance, we saw a lot of big changes based on the audit reports because this administration and management has been taking them seriously. A couple of in the audit response, a couple of the they basically said they would, obviously get the reimbursement requests under wraps and the grants manual. The grants administrator, you're talking about adding a whole nother position. So they do need to do some cost benefit analysis or even see if there are employees that may have that skill set and the availability. But essentially it would just be a follow-up with them. I wouldn't expect this to happen overnight. It's probably a good year or so.
I'll do the cost benefit analysis for you. One grant might pay for that administrator 5 times over.
Certainly could.
So yeah, that's such a no-brainer.
But then with the way our government runs, I mean, realistically, you're looking at the next budget cycle before they would add this in. Otherwise, you add it in, you have the waiting period because of the legislative bill and
I just want to make sure this, like I said, this doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
Right.
And I can piggyback on Mr. McCain because I've been regurgitating this for the last 7.5 years. Serving on the Board of Education, they have a grants administrator, man. I was on the board for nearly 5 years, and every meeting she came to us and gave an update and they gave a report. And like Mr. McCain says, the numbers that she threw out there, that position would pay for itself many times over. And my question to you would be, and Mr. McCain touched on it, all the departments seem to be doing their own thing with grants. Would your recommendation be that they keep doing that, or would the grants administrator be the pass-through person?
It would have to be a team effort because the departments are going to be the experts on the project they're working on. So Rec and Parks, they're experts in recreation. You can't expect a grants administrator to learn all that. It would be very similar to our purchasing department, where the purchasing agent is the expert in forming contracts and bidding things out. However, when they're doing bid documents and such, they're relying on the departments for their expertise on what they actually need. So it would be very similar to that. The departments would still have to be involved in their grants, but they would have a subject matter expert to rely on for language and basic grant management.
And I would expect the grants administrator to know where to look for grants that the individual department wouldn't know where to look.
Certainly.
I'm guessing it would probably be positioned in the executive's office most likely as opposed to a separate department.
I honestly have no,
Yeah.
I've not given enough thought because it's not something I can implement myself to where it would be. I mean, the executive's office would seem like it could be appropriate.
I mean, if it were a separate department, we'd have to have it put in the charter amendments, right?
It'd be nice that this
Charter.
didn't get lost.
But how many different departments did you find that were actually bringing grants in and shuffling them over to finance?
It's about, I want to say eight or nine departments.
Really?
How
believe so.
many?
I don't know how many.
17.
Come on, Larry.
There's like 17 departments.
Would this,
Numbers guy, you are.
would this process and what you recommended from Eunice and the work and the book and all that, would that also entail sheriff's department, state's attorney's office? And it would?
Yes.
Okay.
Questions?
Okay.
I can see all departments.
Okay.
Utilizing the grant writer. Even the volunteer fire service.
Pam, where's the best position for a grants writer?
Yes, come on up here, young lady.
That's what you get for sticking around, Pam.
Yeah.
Has to stay for something other than this. So there's two different things. I want you to, there's a grants writer, and then there's a grants administrator. Those are two very different functions. A grants writer, I think, is what you're talking about, is somebody that can spend the time looking for grants and finding them.
Yes.
That's different than a grants administrator.
Correct.
A grants administrator is somebody who is taking the grants we've already got and making sure we're filing all the compliance aspects of those grants.
Grants writer also applies for the grants.
Works with the departments to apply for the grants,
With-
yes.
With which department?
Well, the
that they're
department,
representing.
the department that they're representing. So
I would not recommend adding a grants writer to our current system because of the decentralized nature of the management. It's very important to get an administrator to get a uniform management system before you go out and start just bringing in more and more grants and inundating the departments with more management of grants.
So
That's
a-
my view on it.
a grants administrator would lean towards a financial aspect because a grant is primarily financial. So it would, in my opinion, as the finance director, fall under finance because we're going to want to make sure that we're collecting the money and doing the money appropriately. A grants writer may not be under the finance department. That could fit either under the finance department because you're going out and looking for money, or under the executives department because that has broad host over all departments. As of right now, again, we responded. I honestly don't have that in front of me, so I don't remember our exact response. But the question becomes is which path are you looking for us to go down, a grants writer or a grants administrator? Because those are two, in my opinion, are two very different things that you're looking for.
And please tell me why they couldn't do the same job.
Because we are too big to do both.
Then why haven't we got one already?
Because right now we have a decentralized function that our departments look for the grants that meet the needs that they have.
And you are admitting that this county does need one, or
I'm
both.
not saying that. I'm saying that.
Pretty much you are.
I'm saying that if a grants administrator is wanted, it should be under finance.
I can see that.
But I am not saying that there is reasons to be decentralized because one person cannot know all the ins and outs of, so you say there's one person over at the Board of Ed. Well, the Board of Ed is
More narrow focus.
a more narrow focused. You're looking for somebody who can lead you on police grants and parks and rec grants and maybe historical grants, and that's a lot for one person. The current method we have has the subject experts, the departments that manage those grants, and then finance does, during the audit process and during the year, look at those grants. So I am not sure one person with the types of grants that we have all the way around the county can be a grants administrator for us.
Well, I will touch on what you said about the Board of Ed. The grants that they get are like a wide spectrum. It's
But
just
they
not
still-
focused on education.
But it's still education-based versus ours are, again, you've got police, you've got the sheriff's office, maybe you've got a grant for the state's attorney's office, you've got multiple grants for many different things
For every department.
Yes, and so one person administering all of that, they might be a subject matter expert in the concept of grant, but they are not going to be a subject expert on all of our grants. It's
Correct, they're still gonna need they're still gonna have to lean on the departments, just
so
like purchasing.
I still stand by what we wrote in our comments, but that's the one thing I think you need to make sure when you're asking administration, which are you looking for? Are you looking for a grants administrator, which is definitively, again, my opinion,
And
a
compliant.
finance function? Or are you looking for a grants writer, which is something very different?
My focus is on the compliance aspect, so it's administrative.
Right, the administrator.
Right.
But again, what Bill was saying, I apologize, I
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
interrupted. The way I heard you, Bill, was that you were looking for somebody to write the grant. That is something very different than an administrator.
I'm looking for somebody that's out there pursuing grants on.
And that's more a grant
basis.
writer function than a grants administrator function.
There's a lot of money that does not come to our county because
Correct.
we do not have a
So,
grant writer.
so at this point, we've got people applying for grants in different departments, not counting the Board of Ed. That's a different
Yep.
animal, okay? But we don't have a grants administrator for either one of those departments.
Correct. We have finance people either in the department or within my department
That's doing the
that
job.
monitoring the grants.
That's doing that job.
Yes.
Okay. So if you talk about, what you call it, centralizing the grants writer,
Grants administrator.
no, the grants writer to begin with. We talked
Okay.
about grants writer, like what Bill just said. Okay. So we have people in these departments currently writing grants.
Correct.
Why could not we hire a grants writer to find grants for the departments that do not have people in their departments looking for grants? In other words, start that way. You start small, I guess you could say. Okay, say that one or two or three of our departments don't have anybody in their department looking for grants. So we hire a grants writer to do that job to begin with, and then work our way into a full-time grants writer for the whole county. So,
It is something that we can consider.
yeah. I mean, you don't have to start off with the whole load to begin with, you know.
And then we'll have to decide, or whoever, or the executive's office will have to decide where that person will be located.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any other comments?
Thank you for listening to us.
All those in favor of Resolution 136, 2022, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution passes. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, Pam.
So you have the quarterly update, Mr. Hitchens?
Yes. So this will be really quick. In this past quarter, I've completed the grant expenditures audit. The miscellaneous expenditures audit as well, that has been submitted to management. And the inmate welfare accounts audit's also submitted to management, so you'll be seeing those presentations soon. I'm currently working on the compensatory time audit, comparing comp time claimed versus what an employee is supposed to receive based on their hours worked, as well as their exempt status. I'm starting the fuel audit. That's going to be testing the WEX system again, but it's also being expanded to go over controls at the roads facility since they got an upgrade to their system recently. And also, I'm working on the Munis ERP audit. That is, we pay for 27 modules, about $344,000 a year. I want to use Tyler Tech support to figure out what all the modules do. Many are obvious: payroll, HR, accounts receivable, but there's some smaller ones that aren't so obvious, and they may need to be quantified to make sure we are using them. And that's the gist of those 3 audits. Following those, all will be done late November to early December. The Munis one may take longer or shorter, just depending on how Munis works with quantifying the usage. I haven't found a good tool in there yet. In the following quarter, third quarter of this fiscal year, I'll be working on the cell phone audit, purchase card audit, and the IT audit. And that's it.
Any questions? What do you anticipate? When you put it together for us at the beginning of the year, we approve everything. It looks to me like right now we have about 13 that is where we started in the beginning of the year.
Right.
Where are we as far as the success rate, and from your position, whether or not we're taking on more than we should? Because we have 3 completely done, right?
Right, first quarter's 3 done.
Yeah.
Should be done in the next 3 by the halfway through the year. So I'll leave us with 7. And in the last quarter, I would be looking at the sick pool, the bank reconciliations, budget review, and, the budget review as always, and finishing up the audit manual. So it seems very doable.
In other words, by the end of the fiscal year, you think that for the most part, all of them will be accomplished?
Should be. The IT audit is going to be the biggest one out of everything that's left. The cell phone audit, the purchase card audit, that I paired those with the IT audit because those 2 are more testing based and more familiar. The IT audit is going to require a bit of learning, and it could be quite the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Okay. I just, because there's really, I don't think we set any determination for you when we approved the audit plan as to what's going, what the sequence is going to be, what the time frame might be. I just didn't know whether or not, how that came.
Yeah, and that's without any other projects coming on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think you have taken on a couple of others.
I did have that one recently I sent a memo about, yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Right. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Patience. Next item we have on the agenda is public comments. If you have any public comments you'd like to make, it's very thin in here. You can come to the podium, state your name, your county of residence, your concerns. No, we have a lot of no's. Pam, comment, public comments? Council comments? Nope, okay.
I'll jump in.
Okay.
Just to say I'm glad the DAF issue is, we've gotten through that. It's been a long process. I do think also, it's been said, let me just say, we worked really hard to try to get the state of Maryland in here to ask questions from the Department of Agriculture. I do think that this is an issue that, it's an issue I heard about before this tank was ever even, what we are aware of, I guess, more recently, which prompted this situation. I had heard of that in other counties, so I just want to say that I think it's something that the state of Maryland should look at, especially if we're the only, indeed, as it was pointed out, if we are the only state in the union that currently currently recognizes DAF as a soil amendment.
I want to thank everyone, too, for working on this. This was my first issue when I got on the council a little over 3.5 years ago, and we're just bringing it to an end. So I'm glad that we were able to come to some type of resolution. And I just want to make sure I know the audience is gone, but if they hear this, what our role as a county council is to regulate the land use and the storage of the tank. I don't know if they are going to get what they want from this or expected to get from this. I really think it needs to be addressed at the state level in defining DAF and where that falls. I'm not going to be here, but when you meet with the state delegates, your next meeting, I would strongly suggest bringing this up.
I'd want to comment on a statement that was made. Someone said, and I would agree with them in most cases, that 4 council members are leaving. So I think they were insinuating that the vote should have been for the incoming council. But you have to remember that the 7 of us that have been here for the last 3 years, and you can't ask a new council majority to work on that, and may drag it out for another 3 years. And something I learned a long time ago is when I got elected, I thought I could please everybody, and it's not true. So I think somebody made a statement earlier before the meeting that there's going to be some people that are very happy, and then there's going to be some people that are a little upset. So that's what happens when you legislate. And I thank everybody that offered their opinions, and all the many phone calls, even today before the meeting, and the emails, to everybody that contacted us and got engaged. So thank all the citizens for what they've done.
Sure.
Well, I'm sure not everybody that walked out of this room tonight was happy about what happened. And it was it's been a, interesting process, to say the least. We were, I don't know what the word I want to use, fooling with one of the most important industries in our county. I think that we made a mistake when we went and tried to do all those amendments, because our legal team had not even had time to look them over, much less the council and the public. But it's done. We sit up here, like Larry said, you can't please anybody, everybody. And I read a cute quote the other day. It says, the reward for conformity is that everyone likes you but yourself. So if you sit out there and try to make everybody happy, and then you go home and the end of the evening and you're not happy with what you did, it's not much of a reward. So you kind of have to work the middle, try to do what you can do. I don't think this is over with. I really don't. I think that the next council is going to have to deal with, I think we'll hear the word DAF again in the near future, unfortunately.
I think you're right.
Comments? Under presidential comments, I would say that pretty much the same. I was very pleased with all the individuals in the public that participated in this process. We've been in a lot of contentious issues before, and I found that they were so diligent in how they looked at the facts and helped us with the issues, and very professional, because this is heated, and it can get very heated. It's very polarizing. But they were very professional in what they did, and I'd like to thank them for everything that they did. I wasn't happy with the turnout of the vote. It's a tough one for the council, because we always have to sort of recognize the issues and the concerns of the public, as well as usually in industry, because that's usually where you see the issues come to a head. And in doing so, you have to worry about the poultry industry, you have to worry about the ag industry, and then you have to worry about the neighbors who every day, are out there living their lives as well. So I think we found a balance. I would have rather put it in the A1 district, because we could have relegated. I think Mr. Cropper made the comment that in order not to send the wrong signal to the poultry industry and the rest of the state of Maryland, Wicomico County as a whole, I believe, could have isolated these DAF tank locations to the far corners of the county. That way, we would have had DAF tanks within the county, but they would certainly not have been in anyone's neighborhood and would not have impacted any of the individuals in this room. So that being said, it's done, and I think we'll live with it, whether it comes back to haunt us. I don't know if I really believe that, Joe. I think that DAF is a dying industry anyway in itself. And hopefully with anaerobic digestion, other means will be taken to successfully deal with waste or soil amendments. So that being said, I would also like to make the comment, Mrs. Hurley was glad enough to give me a newspaper, and the charter amendments are in the newspaper. Okay? And they will be published more than once, or what do you know?
5 times.
Oh, okay, so this will be published 5 times in the Daily Times.
Correct.
So there it is. You can certainly call our office at any time. Mrs. Hurley would be glad to help you with any of the understanding of the specifics if you're confused by any of that.
It's also posted online for anybody that doesn't get the Daily Times. They can go to the website.
On the county website?
On the county website, under County Council.
Is it
proposed
under a
charter
state
minutes.
website as well? Somebody sent me a text message this morning asking me about it and said something about a state, but I didn't look it up.
It's probably on the Board of Elections website
That's
with the
okay.
sample ballot.
So they can look on that page as well.
I think the actual advertisement, though, in the newspaper provides a little bit more detail.
Okay.
So Mr. Cannon, did he just say if they call us, tell them to call Ms. Hurley? Yeah. and she'll
That's
take-
fine.
redirect them.
Yes.
Don't waste their time. You send them straight to her. Then we'll know they get the right answer, right?
Laura, could you call the Daily Times and see if you could, what they used to call them, pull sheets? Where they'd give you just that page, so they
Yes.
would be large. Could you call the Daily Times, see if you can get maybe 50 or 100 to put in the office? Because that's kind of hard to condense into 2 or 3 pages.
So you want just one large
They
printout?
give you the,
Okay.
I mean,
I'll
I don't
call
know if
them.
they still do that or not.
If you can get multiple copies.
Yeah, just that one page. You used to be able to. I don't know if. they
Well, at
still
least
can.
the one page. You said 50 to 100. hand
I'll
out.
check with them, yes.
Right. That's the end of presidential comment. Entertain a motion to adjourn so we can go to open work session.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Means adjourned. First item on the open work session is a discussion of draft letters to the Public Service Commission regarding the case number 9681, where Delmarva Power and Light has applied for a grant for increases in their rates. Everybody had a chance to review the letter?
Yeah, could we get someone to read that letter? I think
What do you
it'd be-
mean?
To read it out loud.
Now?
Yeah. Would you like to do it, John?
Put his glasses on.
I'll find one particular,
I've got it right here if you want it read.
Go ahead, Bill, you do a very good
All
job.
right, I'm looking at it. This is coming from the Wicomico County Council regarding Delmarva Power and Light's application for an electric multi-year rate plan, case number 9681. Dear Secretary Johnson, thank you for giving us the opportunity to provide comments regarding case number 9681, Delmarva Power and Light Company's application for an electric multi-year rate plan. According to a recent news article, Delmarva Power serves approximately 210,000 customers in Maryland who are primarily located on the eastern shore of Maryland. Wicomico County is the cultural and financial hub of the eastern shore and has a population of 103,222 people, many of who will be impacted by the proposed multi-year rate plan. There are hardworking families in Wicomico County that are already struggling to make ends meet, with high inflation driving up prices for everyday items like food and gas, and wage increases for most workers are not able to keep up with inflation. Many families in Wicomico County live paycheck to paycheck and have to shift funds around in their household budgets to cover basic necessities. Families should not have to choose between putting food on the table or heating their homes. It is our understanding that Delmarva Power and Light Company is seeking additional funding to pay for investments in infrastructure and customer service. Several grants may help with these costs, such as the American Rescue Plan Act, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, and the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, or the Inflation Reduction Act. It would be prudent for Delmarva Power and Light Company to seek other revenue sources before making the taxpayers foot the bill for these initiatives, particularly since the last rate increase was less than 3 years ago. We respectfully request the Commission to deny the proposed rate increase for Delmarva Power and Light Company, as the future of the economy is unstable at this time.
Any questions on that, Joe?
No. I would have read it. I didn't know whether, I figured we'd get Laura or Lynn to read it. I'm sorry. I didn't expect a council member to read it. But anyway.
You did a good job, Bill.
So do we have a consensus to send the letter?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to say one thing. I'm in favor of sending the letter too. That middle paragraph for the council members that are coming back to the council, I think we need to remember that the next time we see somebody come to us and want fee increases or tax increases, because it works both ways, not just for Delmarva Power, but it works for Wicomico County too.
Okay, so we will be sending the letter out, correct? At a majority. Okay, fine. Second item on the open work session is discussion of a draft letter of support for federal bill HR 5735, state, local, tribal, and territorial fiscal recovery, infrastructure, and disaster relief. Everyone had a chance to review that.
Actually,
Will that bill have to be, does it go, is something similar in the Senate?
It's already passed the Senate, it's my
Already passed the
understanding.
Senate?
If you turn the volume down, you wouldn't hear that.
Any questions?
Worried about.
Everybody okay with it?
what was the impetus for this? Just ran-
This is we received an email from Mako asking for the county, all counties actually, to support this bill.
Did any of that come back to the county?
So what it does, and Pam's here to help assist with this discussion, the bill actually adds additional categories that we can use ARPA funding on. My understanding is for natural disasters and infrastructure projects, and it also extends the time period in which we can use the ARPA funding from 2024 to 2026.
The other piece that it provides is that it actually provides the Treasury Department funding to actually answer our questions. And so for my purposes, that's the most important part of this bill, because basically the Treasury Department says if they don't get additional funding, when we call in and ask them a question as to how we can utilize their funds, they'll go,
They don't know.
can't answer that for you.
They can't redirect you to someone.
Because there won't be anybody to redirect, because the
Right.
Treasury Department is required to be the one to manage this by the law. And if there's no funding for them to actually help us answer questions, we're going to be operating blindly. And only on the back end would we know if we have done it appropriately. So the paragraph that talks about, trying to find the Treasury being the flexibility, and Treasury has a critical partner and valuable resource. That's the paragraph that's actually most important to me as the finance director, to be able to have my staff be able to call somebody and get our questions answered.
Questions? Everybody okay with sending the letter? All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Olin.
Thank you. You guys have a good evening.
You
So
too.
moved. You.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Hey, tell you.